Have size, excel, excel. Put my hands Jens, put my besser West, put my 10 a 10, or put my spend a spend. Have size, excel. Auf dem Metzi fully casual.
Welp, that was uncomfortable. What's going on, everybody? It's Kata, aka Khalil Too Short, and today we will be talking about that scene in Andor and what the hell Star Wars even is at this point. We're gonna try to keep it short and sweet, just like my hype, but before we do that, make sure that you do 3 things for me. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. And if you don't do all 3 of those things, I'm gonna have Kathleen Kennedy greenlight a Star Wars show about how the Jedi were the first ones to push abortion pills in the galaxy because they couldn't control their impulses, and it'll be led by Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, weird.
God, that's such a terrible idea that Kathleen Kennedy might actually do that. You know what? Scratch that. I'm sorry that I even said it. So when you think about Star Wars, do you think about the story of Han, Luke, and Leia? A story about hope, about redemption, about family and friendship, about betrayal and loss, about overcoming one's darkness and being a better person? Or do you even think about the cool lore and weapons and ships and planets and all the things that encapsulate this galaxy? If you thought about any of those things, then you were wrong, because Star Wars under Disney and Kathleen Kennedy is all about girl bosses who do everything wrong and are still praised for it, nostalgia bait that only knows how to reference itself, fan blaming when a narrative or story or character is received negatively, and here recently with the latest episodes of Andor, Trump allegories, immigration, and sexual assault. Seriously, what the hell even is this? Look, I liked the first season of Andor. I only watched it here recently because when it first came out, I didn't like the first 3 episodes. It kind of bored me. But I got back into it here recently, and with the second 3 episode and the prison arc that came about in that first season, it really turned me around about the show. So I was hyped going into this second season, and other people that didn't watch it when it dropped as well, they started watching the first season and they started looking forward to the second one. But then it came out and it turned out it's Star Wars Tales of the Immigrants. Now look, I get the narrative that you're trying to go with the fascist regime that is the Empire and how they are not redeemable. They take over planets, rob and tax their own citizens, enslave said citizens, and even wipe cities and whole planets away. They're not the good guys, and they shouldn't be presented as so. And also, Andor is a mature show with mature themes, and it's supposed to be a more grounded take on the universe than we've seen in other iterations. Hell, this is a universe where slavery is widely accepted in most parts of the galaxy, and children are kidnapped and turned into child soldiers on the rebel side and the Empire side. So there are a lot of things in this universe that are dark and that are gritty. However, there's some things that just don't belong in the franchise, and me personally, I think sexual assault is one of those things, especially when you do such things and you're having headlines and articles of you saying things like this: "We're all the product of..." Yes, empires and armies did all kind of heinous things when they were taking over cities and entire countries. I mean, Genghis Khan has thousands of bastards out there that are a part of his lineage because he was conquering so much of Asia. But sure, I get what you're saying. However, showing such things in a franchise like this just isn't the move, man. A lot of people feel that way. Granted, it's not like the scene is like some Game of Thrones shit where she's getting bent over and choked and stroked unconsensually, but still, you don't have to put it in there. You can imply it, you can hint at it, but you don't have to go as far as you did with even throwing the word out there in the episode itself. I get the meaning, I know what it means to a lot of females and men who have gone through this kind of thing, but in a franchise like Star Wars, it just doesn't fit. If this had been like an established thing that you said you were going to do with the franchise moving forward some years ago, then it wouldn't have been as jarring as it is right now. Maybe if you had more movies or shows that went down this route, it would have went over better. But you just had a Star Wars show that came out a few months ago that was basically the Goonies in space, and now the next show that you have is showcasing SA Trump allegories and immigration. Like, what even is this franchise? What narrative are you going? What direction are you doing? The brand is all over the place, and I think that's what throws people off the most when you show them things like what you're doing right now in Andor. Because a dark and gritty Star Wars show or movie can work if that's the route you're going with your brand, but you can't do that when in the next installment you have stupid baby fucking Yoda still pretending like he doesn't know how to put two syllables together. You can't use the excuse the brand is for kids or it's just a stupid story with space wizards and lasers, but then sit here and defend the Acolyte that had a legitimate news scene with a chick checking out a dude's lightsaber and then being groomed by said narcissistic evil man and going out with her hoping that she can get penetrated with it. You can't say Andor is a mature show that tackles themes of fascism and tyranny and authoritarianism and the consequences that come with rebelling against such an empire and entity when you can't even call Boba Fett's ship Slave 1. It's confusing and you're sending mixed messages to your audience, and you just came off one of the biggest train wrecks in modern history with the Acolyte, so you would think controversy wouldn't be the smart move to do right now. But this is Disney Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy Lucasfilm, so smart isn't something that they're used to. All in all, I personally think it's distasteful. It's been done in EU books and comics, of course, but those are completely different mediums and not one the general public would see or know about, and the only reason I know about it is because I use Google. It's also not blasted on your child-friendly streaming service of Disney. It just doesn't feel like it belongs in this medium given the direction the franchise is going, because it's not like in the next Star Wars show you're gonna tackle what the Empire was doing to the children it was kidnapping and the horrors that they had to go through to become soldiers after the cloning program was ended, or the PTSD a veteran of the Clone War has to go through living in a galaxy where essentially they watched their friends die for no reason because they became the very thing they were fighting against, but this time just so much worse. Or a movie about how a stormtrooper realizes they were on the wrong side of the fight and they try to stop the Empire from committing these heinous acts by teaming up with a ragtag cast of characters, and then by the end of the movie they realize they're sensitive in the Force and help defeat the bad guy. No, you're just gonna do a Rey movie where she's the bestest ever and does nothing wrong, and then when that movie fails, you're gonna reboot the original trilogy where Leia was the chosen one all along, Han Solo is gonna be a beta cuck bitch male, and Luke is gonna turn out to be a femboy.
Oh nigga, you gay!
In all seriousness, this just comes down to the perception of the IP and brand as a whole, and most people who look at Star Wars just don't see it like that. That would be like taking Marvel and turning it into a girls brand where there's whole shows dedicated to dealing with old wine moms in their midlife crisis. Look, me personally, I'm down for a dark and gritty Star Wars. I think it would be awesome. I know George Lucas was gonna do a show like that, but under Disney and under Kathleen Kennedy and the direction you're going, you can't try to throw that stuff out there when you weren't establishing that's the way you were going. If you agree, put that down in the comments, and if you don't agree, you can also put that down in the comments. I promise you have my consent to open up the chat box and type whatever you want to in that comment section. But hey, it's been your boy Kata. Y'all be easy. I will see you on the next one, man. Peace out.